What's up, guys? Shadetree Surgeon back again with another talking head vlog, and let's just get right the fuck into it. I ain't pussyfooting around this week. I'm fucking pissed. Shit, this wasn't even gonna be my story this week, but when this popped up, I knew I had to put aside everything else I was working on and tell you guys about this. So if you're familiar with my channel and just motovlogging in general, you're probably familiar with a motovlogger named Everride. And if you're not, educate yourself and go subscribe to him right now. This guy delivers real television quality adventure motorcycling videos on the reg, and he does it all on a shoestring budget while also including all the how-tos and tutorials that you'll need to go on the same adventures that he does for just as little money. He's an honest to a fault family man, an unabashed man of faith, conviction, and humility. He is a lonely alabaster tower carved from altruism and justice, jutting forth defiantly from this sea of deplorable filth we call the internet. We don't need another hero. In short, Everride's a pretty good guy. And in my opinion, one of the most important services that he provides on his channel is his just brutally honest reviews of motorcycles and motorcycle accessories. He's really fighting the good fight in this arena because, let's face facts, mainstream moto journalism is dead. Every review you see in a major motorcycle publication is essentially nothing more than paid product placement. Just reading their articles and watching their videos, they sound more like a slap chop infomercial than they actually sound like somebody trying to provide you a real honest list of pros and cons.
You're gonna love my nuts.
And of course it's like that, because the manufacturers are the ones who foot the bill. And if these guys want to keep their jobs, they better make whatever they're reviewing sound better than a blowjob robot that shits $100 bills. So if you want real honest reviews from real people, you come here to YouTube. We don't need another hero. And tragically, even here on YouTube, it's just such a crapshoot on whether you can actually find a real unbiased review of a motorcycle or not. On one hand, you just have these vapid assholes who just spend a ton of money on a bike and spend like 15 minutes gushing about it in their review because they just desperately need to justify the money they spent on this thing. Or you get this alarming rash of YouTubers that are cropping up lately who will hook up with a local dealership that lets them test ride and review all the motorcycles on their showroom floor. And with these guys who are hooked up with their local dealerships, you get the same line of bullshit. Just a generic breakdown of specifications and 10 minutes of, ooh, so fast. Ooh, so shiny. Ooh, so smooth. Oh, how many dicks can I fit in my mouth at once? Ah! But look, when I want to see somebody take a hot load to the face and call it ice cream, I've got an entirely different website I go to, alright? So remember, boys and girls, keep YouTube safe. But honestly, there's nothing wrong with making test ride videos. Just be honest about it. It's a paid gig. The service you provide is showcasing the dealership's product in a favorable light, and the payment you receive is being able to make a highly searchable video on a popular new motorcycle that'll hopefully net you some new subscribers and some of that sweet, sweet YouTube revenue. So let's call a spade a spade. You're not making a review video, you're making a commercial. So between the generic softball puff pieces the major publications put out and the amateur cocksucking competition here on YouTube, it can actually be pretty difficult to find a fair, unbiased, honest review of a motorcycle. And that's where Everride knocks it out of the park. He's built his reputation on fair, unbiased, and brutally honest reviews. And recently, with the help of his Patreon, he bought a CSC RX3 Cyclone to review. If you guys are unfamiliar with this bike, let me just give you a quick backstory. The RX3 Cyclone is made in China by a company called Zongshen and imported to the United States by the California Scooter Company, or CSC. And they're marketed by CSC as an affordable alternative in the sometimes very expensive ADV touring motorcycle category, where a new GS 1200 will set you back over 20 fucking G's. You can get a brand new RX3 for about 3,500 bucks. An ADV touring bike under $4,000? It just sounds too good to be true. And well, that's what Everride was aiming to find out. And the verdict? Sort of? What Everride found was a solid city commuter bike dressed up in adventure bike clothes. He put it through many real-world tests off-road and just found it a bit lacking. And that doesn't make it a bad motorcycle, but it's certainly not going to knock the V-Strom 650 or the KLR off their podium as the premier affordable dual sport anytime soon. But it could possibly make a better choice than either of those bikes if you're a shorter rider who's mainly planning on in-city commuting. Everride points all this out and also goes on to add that CSC enjoys a stellar reputation for customer service and warranty work. He also remains optimistic at the end of the video about CSC and the RX-3's future here in America. And he welcomes a new player in the game to really shake things up a little bit and drive some innovation in the affordable ADV segment. I left his review feeling as though he'd given the RX-3 an incredibly fair shake, but by all means, make up your own mind and go watch the review. Even if you're totally uninterested in the RX-3, it's actually kind of nice to watch a truly honest review of a motorcycle. So the fallout from all this? Joe Berk from the California Scooter Company loses his goddamn mind.
Must kill Everride.
I mean, this dude goes full Zarna Joshi on Everride.
Humongous what? Humongous what? This person just spoke to me in a sexually harassing way.
I did not.
Yeah, he did.
Fully fucking triggered. In his blog post about Everride, he calls him out with this just idiotic line of questioning that just really displays his ignorance of not only YouTube, but the online motorcycling community in general. He hits him with some real tough stuff, like accusing him of hiding behind a screen name, like some sort of anonymous masked villain lurking in the shadows. A screen name? Egad! What nefarious deeds this monster must be plotting if he has to hide behind a screen name. Bro, have you ever used YouTube before this? Is this really your first venture onto that crazy newfangled contraption that all the kids are into called the internet? I mean, really, is this guy serious right now? Almost everyone on YouTube and message boards uses a screen name. And as far as the mysterious true identity of the infamous Everride, his name is Tyler. And if you'd bother to watch more than one of his videos before passing judgment, you'd already know that, along with his lovely wife's name and all of his children's names as well. I promise you, Tyler doesn't try to hide anything on his channel at all. He just thinks that the name Everride sounds kind of cool. And another particularly brutal example of Joe Berk not understanding how to internet, he demands to know just exactly who are these so-called patrons. He then implies that Everride most likely won't say who the patrons are, and also implies that he thinks that they're probably competing manufacturers and importers. Like there's just some sort of crazy conspiracy to take down CSC through like one review on YouTube. Well, everybody watching this who actually knows how Patreon works is probably having a pretty good laugh right now. If you're unfamiliar with it, Patreon is a fan funding platform that allows people to contribute $1 or $2 to YouTube creators for every video they make. It's hardly a group of people with sinister intentions. In fact, I'm one of Everride's patrons. Something Joe Berk would have been well aware of if he had bothered to visit Everride's Patreon page before asking this stupid-ass question. He goes on to cry about how several major motorcycle publications gave the RX-3 positive reviews, and you guys already know how I feel about that. But I went ahead and I read all those reviews for myself, and I found exactly what I was expecting. Nothing but useless fluff and a generic regurgitation of specifications. Just the kind of completely fucking useless review you'd find on any motorcycle by a major publication. He also accuses Everride of deleting positive reviews of the RX-3 that had been left in Everride's comment section. While Everride fully admits to deleting comments that contain hate speech and personal attacks, I know for a fact that he would never delete a comment just for holding a dissenting view. Everride has always fostered intelligent and respectful discussion and debate in this community, something Joe Berk would also be well aware of if he had watched more than one of his videos. After his ridiculously out-of-touch line of questioning, he just really goes for the gusto and launches into a series of completely uncalled for personal attacks. He calls Everride nothing more than an unemployed teacher and adds that he's glad he's unemployed. He says in his blog post that anybody who's as phony, dishonest and deceitful as Everride is, has no business teaching anybody anything. And he just finishes off the article with just like a really classy call to action, telling all his loyal readers and customers to not only head over to Everride's page and give him hell, but also to report Everride to the YouTube legal department for deceitful practices. I mean, I'm not making this up. He actually gives the email address for the YouTube legal department at the end of his blog. I'm not sure exactly when giving a negative review became something that needed legal intervention, but seeing as this is a Chinese company, I'm really not that surprised at this line of thinking. I mean, over there in China, they aren't really too big on that whole freedom of speech thing that we enjoy here in America. So there we have it. Everride gives an honest and fair review on a motorcycle, and immediately afterwards, the importer and distributor of those motorcycles is not only trying to take him down and discredit him, but also trying to put him out of a goddamn job by reporting his channel to YouTube. All for an honest review. Shit, man, it wasn't even a negative review. I'm actually starting to think that Joe Berk doesn't really know what a negative review is. The Zongshen RX-3, a sheep in wolf's clothing. The Zongshen RX-3, just because you can put a kitten in the oven, don't make it a biscuit. The Zongshen RX-3, it's done about as much for adventure motorcycling as pantyhose have done for finger fucking. You see, those are negative reviews. Everride gave the RX-3 an honest, fair review. He pointed out all of its shortcomings and still managed to highlight all of its strengths as well. He didn't pull any punches, and I respect him for that. And Joe, the incredible amount of butthurt you've displayed in your response to his review is really what betrays you here. This is why mainstream moto journalism is dead. Because when somebody actually dares to offer an honest review on a product, people like Joe Berk respond with nothing but threats and defamation of character. This is the attitude that breeds the current state of affairs. It rewards pandering and it punishes honesty, and I call bullshit. This needs to stop. We as consumers deserve fair and unbiased reviews, and we ought to thank people like Everride who have the courage to stand up and give them to us. I mean, this is really so much bigger than Zongshen and the RX-3. And trust me, Joe, I didn't make this video about your stupid little motorcycle. The RX-3 is a capable bike that I'm sure will give plenty of people thousands and thousands of miles of excellent service. But it's pretty fucking ridiculous to think that every person on the planet needs to bow down and worship the RX-3 as the new dual sport messiah, come to save us from the sins of the BMW GS. I hate to break it to you, Joe, but that bike could come with a box of steaks and a free blowjob, and some people still ain't gonna like it. But the RX-3 isn't the problem here. The RX-3 is a fine bike. Nothing wrong with the RX-3 at all. The only issue here is just that Joe Berk is a fucking ass. Now, I gotta stop myself right there before I finish that word. Because I found out while editing this video that Joe Berk has issued an apology to Everride for the personal attacks he made on him. My message still stands though. Not only do we deserve honest, unbiased, and unpaid for reviews of motorcycles, we need to demand them. And that's why I support Everride and what he's trying to do on his channel. Till next time, y'all.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, everything that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together, brighter than a lucky penny when you're near. The rain goes, disappears, dear, and I feel so fine. know that you are mine.